The Shattering is a first-person, story-driven psychological thriller with horror elements. It came out on the 21st of April and is currently available on PC. You play as John Evans, who is going through a failure as a writer and as a human being. Through a series of disjointed flashbacks, some of them fake memories, you have to figure out what happened to John and his love interest. Rather than relying on the genre's cliches, such as jump scares and the generous use of darkness, The Shattering invokes fear through the absence of information. It defines the story and the overall design of the game, with its shifting environments, invisible characters, and a color palette that is dominated by various shades of white. The Shattering is the latest title from the German publisher Deck 13, and the first title for the development studio called Super Sexy Software. Its members are based in Poland, France, and Switzerland. I am Oleg Nesterenko of Game World Observer, and today I'm talking to Marta Szymańska, founder at Super Sexy Software and game director on The Shattering. We will be discussing the development of the studio's debut title and horror games in general.
Yes, just like that.
So Marta, why don't we start by you telling a little bit about yourself? What is it that you do at the company and what was your involvement with The Shattering?
So my name is Marta Szymańska. I'm from Poland, and I like people when we start calling ourselves labels, they always says I'm the art director, game director. I don't know, someone who basically at the very end sits there and say yes or no for the final product. It feels much bigger, I think, than it is. I just feel like another person in a group, just as the same equal rights as everyone else. And it's just kind of on my responsibility to do certain things, and I'm just trying to do them as well as I can. But I think we can kind of call me a leader in this way that at least there's a person in the group who, if you have a question, you can ask, hey, what do you think? Is this okay? And then if I say it's okay and then it's not, it's always on me to fix it. So I knew I'm the leader of this of the group of the game, and I was there since the very beginning. It's not completely my idea, like it's a group effort. I used to say it over and over, but I think for sure some of the main like direction was precisely from me. And I think team always says that because I am the one who like horror games. I am the one who's always like involved in these crazy ideas about certain topics. And I think if we would do a game made by someone else from our team, probably would look a little bit different. So
now that we have established who you are, so let's establish what the game is. I looked through some comments on Steam, and many people refer to it as a walking simulator. And I wonder, as a creator, are you comfortable with this definition?
Well, the game doesn't have any complicated mechanics. It doesn't have any complicated puzzles or failure conditions. So I think it's fair to call it a walking simulator. I think we noticed that sometimes the label walking simulator seems bad, but I don't think there's nothing bad in it. It's still fun and it's still very enjoyable. Well, I can say that when we started doing the project, we never labeled our game in any specific way. Like we didn't say, oh, we want to do a walking simulator or we want to do a shooter or anything else. I think what drew us in the project was more about the story, the aesthetics, and what we want to say. And it just turned out to be a kind of a walking simulator because that was the tool we needed to tell the story at the end. So we're all absolutely okay with that, and there's nothing wrong with it to be spoken. This is also our first game, and we were still learning and teaching like how we can do certain things, how we can achieve certain things, and it turned out to as it turned out, and we're really, really happy with it. So
okay, so I read somewhere, I don't remember, maybe it was like an interview that you did earlier or one of your dev blogs, but you said that the idea for the shattering came from a study that you, Marta, I think made into the contrast of white and black in horror and culture. So what was that all about?
That's a really nice question. I did my thesis about the amor vacui and horror vacui, which means like this fear and love for white and emptiness. And this was one of the kind of directions we were following. There is this big, specifically like horror vacui is like this fear of empty spaces. That's why people tend to fill it up with objects and things. And we kind of took it into the game, like when the game proceeds, you see this very rich aesthetics and beautiful environments, like in Act 1, the lobby, which is very big and filled. And then we kind of take that from the player while he proceeds to the game ending of Act 2 or Act 3, the completely void. This was actually specifically made to make this feeling of we're taking something away from you, and kind of want to evoke this feeling of fear, right? That not all of us were gonna react to certain ways, but since the study shows that there are like examples of it in culture and art, and like it was really, really cool. Like my whole thesis was about this, so I don't want to like talk about my thesis because this interview would be so long. But yes, there was a horror vacui and amor vacui, and then this was the study about the definition and interpretation of color white. And here was very interesting because there was a huge contrast between Eastern and Western way of kind of reacting to color white. In Western way, the color white means more like purity, innocence, peace, virginity, safety, heaven, faith, spirituality, like all of the good stuff, let's say.
Yeah.
And then in the Eastern countries, it means more, it was connected to death, to isolation, to insanity, to actually those things that like in Eastern countries and in Asia, they were more fear about. So it was a contrast for me, because in Europe, we treated horrors like these dark places with the flashlight and jump scares and monsters and all of that, and all unseen. That's what scares us. And then they took it more like the things more mental way. And that's what we took actually the idea for the game, and the main point, like why the shattering is in white. So we took it from the amor vacui, horror vacui, and color white in general. That was one of it. And then there was another actually studies telling that we actually dream in black and white, at least most of us, because it's very, very hard to actually study dreams. And in those dreams, people who could kind of convince, like, yes, we were dreaming in black and white, then they sometimes just like one color of important object of a symbol shows up, and that was very, very important for them. Like there was a boy who had a dream, and like his mother was in red. Like it was something meaningful for him, and that inspiration we also took to the game. So the game is all white, but yes, we do have some color in the game because we want to kind of highlight the important objects moments for John in this with this color. Also, we kind of use a little bit color blue, like the highlight of important objects is blue, the pills are blue. There are certain things also connected to color blue, and also that means more this like psychological aspect, because color blue, also color white is more connected like hospitals, like curing, like this mental state and all of that. So all the colors were actually choose very carefully in the game.
What's your degree exactly? Is it game design or culture study or psychology?
I have few actually. I was like, when I was a little, I didn't know what I want to do with my life. So I tried basically everything. I finished archaeology, then art history, then cultural studies, then graphic design, and then art critic. So I did quite a lot, crazy busy in a few years. And then I came to games because I kind of, for me at least, games was the final art, at least nowadays, because comparing to books, paintings, or movies, it has this interactive aspect, right? Where you as a player are like a part of the art itself. Of course, we have it in movies and theaters, like people are also doing these interactive things, but in games, it's like, it's a like it's a part of it. Let's say.
So as far as I understand, by extension, because you removed all the color, it was also the same logic that basically leads you to the decision where you remove all the characters, at least as far as they're visually represented from the game. So it's like rather empty, depopulated, basically.
Yes, without characters, we first of all, it was more immersive for the players. We have these mannequins, and they can kind of imagine how his mother, father, or who else is this co-worker could look like. The same with the voices, right? Like we didn't show the doctor or other characters, the teacher. It was the strong voice that was the representation of it, and that gives the player an idea that he can fill the blank in it. And then a little bit note at the end was also the dream states that people were like saying, I remember you were there, I couldn't see you, but I felt kind of, I don't know if you have sometimes dreams like that you were there, I know that. So this was also something we tried to follow. Of course, it's very hard to get there, but that was the reason why we don't have the characters in the game.
These are called video games, so it's about showing stuff. Were you at all concerned that not having characters visually presented in the game is going to be something that will drive certain players away?
Honestly, we didn't think that way. We just hope people like games. Video games are still something that people want to have fun, experience something new, and spend their time 5-4 hours playing it and just take something out of it. So we, first of all, it has to be tight and understandable. So there was a moment in the project when we finished it all. It was like kind of beta, because with us it was also between like alpha, beta, we never knew. Let's say beta, and we show it to playtesters, and they're like, okay, but there's something wrong. We didn't get something right, and then we were completely like, oh my god, what was it? So this level of abstraction, we had to kind of lower it down to player to still to understand it a little bit better. Like it was always with shattering, we always were measuring too high, and then we always have to go kind of down, which is a good sign, because in design, when you're cutting your design, it always means it's a progress. So we weren't afraid of it, because thanks to a lot of feedback in QA, and if there's any game starting out there that I want to know, like my biggest tip would be like really feedback from people is something that will get you doing something that you want and them getting something that they want. So with that aspect, we weren't scared. I think we were ready. That's why I really like going to like Gamescom or some conference when you can actually talk to them, because some of them, of course, come, see, and like and go away, which is all right, because everyone likes something different. I will not judge if someone will say this game is stupid and just go, even though it isn't a constructive feedback. But there are some people that come and say, wow, I really like it. Like, if you have people who write to you after 4 years developing the game saying, oh, I saw it 4 years ago and I follow it since then and I can't wait until, like, you feel the same excitement they do. It's the most rewarding thing we got. So it was scary to show them final product at the end, and everyone was on their toes the whole week. But since the feedback came back from them that is cool, that we did something nice, and it felt really nice. That's for sure.
So the main theme of the game is basically exploration of a disturbed mind of the protagonist. Is it something that you arrived at because it was suitable for your basic premise, or is this theme relevant to you somehow? You did psychology, you said, even if...
No, I didn't, but I didn't do psychology. I always wanted to, but I think I have enough of school
Sure.
already. Well, I am a huge fan of horror genre, and sometimes my friends who aren't, they're like, oh, the horrors are stupid because they're easy, catchy, jump scary, and all of that. And sad thing was that they were a little bit right. So I always said like, no, horror games are good because they're cool because there's something about the fear inside of you, the good ones. So I tried it to make something different. I tried it to show the people that the horror don't have to be especially this dark thing and monsters. Like it can be something that you're afraid of because you're gonna happen. If you played like in Act 1 in the bathroom scene when you're about to go to the bathroom, the people were like, no, 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 just don't, please don't. But they're not afraid to play further. We got really a lot of the same feedback from people saying, I love The Shattering because it doesn't have a jump scare and it's not scary, but it's still like, I still fear, like not a fear, maybe it sounds still like scary, but if you watch like Sixth Sense, like with
Very
Bruce
intense,
Willis,
right?
yeah, something like that. So so is it relevant to me? Because I think personally I like it. That's what I said at the beginning. If we would make a game from other member of the team, probably it would be just a different game. But since I was the loudest voice, let's say, it was something that I would love to play. Like it was a game that I would enjoy playing.
Girls do not often like, horror as a genre. Why are you drawn into the genre? Can you think of of the reason?
Okay, so I think that all my life, my grandparents got this like very old apartment and they got the garage, like a repairing garage under it. And I was little, I was sleeping there a lot. And I have a very oldest uncle, and he always watched the horror movies and everything at night. And I was not allowed to watch it, but I always sneaked in and kind of watched it through in between the chairs or something. And I think I was driven to this idea of being afraid, or but the horror games in genre have one very common thing that is stronger than being afraid. It's a good story. It's that thing that makes you wow at the end. It's like revealing why this ghost is haunting this house, right? Like it just gives us this I even have it right now, the goosebumps, like gives you something that you can think about and saying and really get into this person's story. Because I think horror games in most often are very about a single person, single experience, about that goes and this person who's going to experience it and go through it. And I think I really like that. I liked listening to the stories, even though I was really scared to watch them. And kind of with my uncle, he was even more scaring me, getting even more scared. But I think at the end it just kind of, I don't know, created me, even though I'm not like a creepy person with like doing something. I'm just really like good story, and I like the adrenaline, I like the survival aspect of it. Like that's why I also approached this project, because I saw so many horror games that are so easy and cheesy to do and people are complaining about it, and I tried to protect, I will stay in front of the horror games, like come on, they're not like good ones, are really 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 good ones. So yeah, that's my little dreams, let's say, of a little girl.
You made horror games sound very, very cozy, with that story from your childhood. And also, I think you should be an official ambassador for the genre of horror games and for booking simulators.
Yes, that's why we made the shattering. And I loved in the project that I learned to listen, because I have my voice, but I am not alpha and omega. I don't know everything. And even though people who don't like horror games and were still in the project doing it with me, they had like these ideas and this approach. And it was very, very cool to listen to them and understand why they see certain things, not never neglecting, say, oh, you don't have any idea because you don't like horrors in general. Like it doesn't have to be too much. That's why I think in sharing sometimes we have this minimalism, right? Even the walking simulator, the mechanics is minimal because we want to get to easy players. Like hardcore gamer or not, probably like this game, there's not much complicated puzzles, but then they're writing to us and we're saying that's not the point. The point is the story, the point is the immersion. And I think by the feedback we got that quite all right, at least what we received till now.
You did consult a mental health professional,
Yes.
to add more authenticity to the game. So what is it that you learned from them and that you used in the game?
I think those sessions were the most enlightening sessions. Like there was a few, of course, very important steps in the developing of the game, but those two close friends did something that I was very surprised because first of all, they treat the project very serious. With the first friend, we came and he said, "How old is John? Where is he from? What is his childhood?" Like he was trying to treat imaginary person that I was kind of trying to fill the gaps on the way. And then he told me how he could react, how he could do, like what he doesn't like or they're like. I don't want to say it aloud because some of them could be spoilers, but we created this mental report of John. So that was really, really cool. The other aspect was helped us to create actually the doctor persona. So how is the questions being asked? It's never direct. It's like kind of asking you for a question, but in the same way, observing how you react or act when the question is asked, which is very hard to do in games. What is the tone voice of the doctor? Like we also took that, and that you can really find in the game.
Let's try one more time. Are you ready? I would like you to look directly into the pendulum and follow it with your eyes. When I count down from 3 to 0, imagine yourself here, in this room. Now, try to concentrate and relax. Let's begin.
All the tone, or like this, like kind of taking care of John and trying to help him, but never pushing him towards, actually just suggesting. Oh yeah, the suggestion mechanic. So those, it happened at the very beginning of the project, and I was actually blessed by then. I remember like they schedule it by themselves. I said they're very, very professional approach. We're like, crazy Marta going in, listen, I need some insight. And they really, really helped. So I'm very thankful for that.
How did you come across that person, that psychiatrist or
I
psychologist?
think I just screamed too loud. That was no. The first one was actually she was I don't know a teacher at school of psychiatry, and we were doing a different project with her. It wasn't a school project; it was something for the work back in the days. And then on the side, I said, "Can we have our own meetings?" And she agreed. And then we did 2 sessions, and she helped with the John persona. And then the other friend was kind of also on the working at. We were working on the same project, different projects, excuse me. And then I asked specifically to, can he just take his time, like 2 times a week, and help me a little bit. And he gave me like so many papers to read. He's like, okay, if you want to do this seriously, read this book, this book, this book. And there was especially the teacher one. She actually gave me later a test did I read the books. But that was something I felt more assured that what I'm doing is not just my imagination, and I'm trying to do it kind of as realistic as possible. Even though, as I said, I didn't finish any psychological studies in that, and probably it's not like perfect and by the book and everything, but at the end of the day, it's just a video game, right? We use this to create it and make it fun, not to make it like help people make it educational, for sure. I think we have even note at the beginning of the game about it. So
did you play maybe I think it's called Silent Hill Shattered Memories?
Yes, I did. Yeah, everyone is always saying like yes.
Did you like it?
So, yes, I think I am also a fan of the Silent Hills, all of the genres. Right now I'm playing it's not Silent Hill, but a remake of Resident Evil 3. I'm catching up with all of the games. I have such a huge list. So yeah, Silent Hill was one of our inspiration with music. I think there's so many things you can be inspired by Silent Hill.
Akira Yamaoka.
Yes.
Yeah.
The genius, I think. Just in my opinion. Sorry.
A little bit off the topic, but since you mentioned Resident Evil 3, what do you think in general about recent remakes of Resident Evil games?
I like it. I think I know there's some. It's a good game, but not a good remake. Let's say it this way. But I like it. I am very for this new look, new style. I think it's funny. I don't know, like I know there's a lot of very hardcore fans that have something to say. Me personally, I sit down with my pad at the game, and it's really really cool. Like there are of course some downs and ups, but in general, I have a very big thumbs up for the game. So I'm a fan.
Okay.
They should do the Silent Hill as well. I'm like,
Yeah.
why did they do like what? You know, like imagine like Silent Hill 1, the same style as Resident Evil. When? It's obvious by now. I hope they're doing it. Just gonna like quietly, announce it soon or something. I don't know. Would be cool.
You should really think seriously about this gig as a ambassador for the horror games and just write a letter. I don't know to Konami.
Who will listen to me, huh?
Once you
Maybe.
have become an ambassador, an official voice of the horror games, they will listen.
How do you
make them
become
listen.
an ambassador? Can you be an ambassador?
I think it's up to us. There is no such thing, right? I mean, there was no game before you created it. There is no such position before we created. We should start the thing right now. Maybe this is the beginning of, like a movement.
I think so. I even had my own name for it. And I researched, I was trying to make it on Wikipedia kind of definition, but it's much harder to get to it. It was called white horror. And I got to go through like some kind of, I have actually a definition ready somewhere. It's like this more psychological way, and it's connected to this Eastern way of thinking with white, just connected to this modern way in Europe. Like kind of mishmash, let's say, to two different regions with the contrast to each other, and then voila, you have a white horror.
White horror,
You
yeah.
inspired me. I'll try.
See, that's what it was all about.
Don't push me, or not push me doing, because it's always turned out like I have an idea.
Yeah.
But triers are, there's a saying, you never win a race without trying to contest or something. I don't know. In Polish, so, there's a saying. Like always try. My friends like, he loves I don't remember the name, but he was like, oh, I always wanted to talk to that actor or something, and I'm just sending an email. He's like, Marta, you're retarded, like how you can send an email? And I'm like, you just should try. Like, never knows, nobody knows. So without trying, we're just talking.
But I want to be credited, if it becomes a thing, I want to be credited for it.
Don't worry.
Like the
I actually will take you on the CC mails, like any questions answered, please.
Cool. Right. Yes. Wow. I am glad that we are recording that, so you cannot get out of it anyway.
Oh, okay. We got it.
So it's my understanding that the game was first conceived in 2014. So like 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Yes, it's a lot of time.
Yeah, and so you said that the project went through like multiple iterations, and you had to scale down on certain things.
Yeah.
Would you briefly walk us through the evolution that your game underwent?
Mm-hmm. First of all, I think it took so long because, as I said, we didn't know anything. At the first idea and render, I can maybe later share with you some materials that you can like show during the video or something. The first render from Blender, we like, oh, let's make a game, and we literally went to like a bookstore and buy Unity for Dummies or something. Like, we were really noobs with everything, but our passion and like really drag us to never ever stop. That's why we did it. We released it. We were extremely proud of ourselves, and that's why it took so long. For the iteration of the game, we went big. We went too big. We didn't know. We were like outside and all of that, and then we realized that nobody knows anything about creating, like a realistic environment. And we're like, oh my god, it's worse. And I'm like, guys, let's keep it down to like rooms. Rooms are easy. It's box, window, doors. It should be okay, right? And it actually worked. We created something that was close to Act 4 apartment, the whole, like the size, let's say, of it. And we showed this to Deck, I think, yes, back in 2016. And they liked it. And since we were so more assured about, oh, it's going to be in the rooms, we started to work on the other acts in other rooms, getting stronger and stronger in the feelings, how it's going to be. There's so many material that wasn't used. There's so many locations we did and we didn't use, with the cry and tears. And sometimes some people were like angry with the team, like, I work on it like 2 months and it's not going to be in. And then we said, like, we're sorry, like, this is the cost we have to pay for learning and getting there. Really, there was too many iterations, I think, of the shadowing, but it all were necessary to get the final product, to get it more like consistent, more together, make more sense. The last iteration was like a year ago, I think, a year before the release, when we got this feedback from playtesters and they said something was kind of wrong with the story. I mean, in a way that it wasn't clear what's going on. So we had to again kind of shift things around with the things already we done, and we did, sorry. And then we got another feedback, which was finally the one we wanted. So it took us really, really long. And on this way, I know this is kind of connected to your first question about this walking simulator. We try to do like puzzles or something because we looked at other games. It said it's a game, need to have a puzzle, right? Like all games has puzzles and all of that. So, and we're trying to do some puzzles, but then we said, like, it doesn't fit. Like, first of all, it doesn't fit for the story. Second of all, we're just putting puzzles just in the sake of putting a puzzle that we don't need. And we said, oh, so again, cutting. There's so many cutting at the end, but it made it all as it is right now. And I think it's a good lesson right now. If I would say to someone from the team, listen, we have to cut this completely, they would say, okay, no problem, because finally we know what does it mean, our creative process, right, of doing it. I read some books about the movie from Stephen King's books, Room 1408, and they said it was crazy. Like, they said, like, first it's a script, right, that is being like cut, modified, then they make scenes in the, like, the director and record all the scenes, and then while editing they even cut the scenes they recorded. So it's really, really getting to the, like, this final touch and product. What do you want to say, and how in the whole aspect and ratio, from the perspective when you step back of it and see it whole as a picture. Now you can see, because you couldn't see this before. So we cut a lot. That's we did. I can also show you later, like, I'll send you some files, like the outside models, like, oh my goodness, big worlds. No, maybe not that big, but there was something like secret passages and Act 2. They're actually a little bit still there, but nobody knows about them. But
no, yes, still, all these assets, just give them another 5 years and maybe you can use them in another game that you want to just make more gamey.
Yep. Yeah. There's apparently a thing that from one idea that you want to use in one project, it's going to be a great idea for a separate project itself later.
Yeah.
As I heard. So you never know.
I just like the way you say things like, this is the price we're going to have to pay.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first moment
that's why you're a leader at the Super
the
Sexy
first
Software.
moment we were doing the project, I'm like, listen, guys, it was at school. I was doing some presentation about the shattering. Back then we already had the name, and I'm like, you're gonna hate this project, you're gonna cry over it, you're gonna regret it, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. We're gonna finish it, and you have to deal with the emotion already. You have to know you're gonna hate me and the project. And I heard it so many times from Oleg, one of our team, like, I remember when you were saying that and you were right. I knew it was going to be hard.
You could lead men to wars with speeches like this.
I managed to, like, there was a problem also why this project took so long, because we had office, we didn't have office, etc. And I want to say this project was made with zero money to the very end, because I always managed to kind of get us somewhere. And like, I have so many debt to people who helped us along the way. Like we have friends who said, I have an office, free office, you can, you know, sit there as long as you need, until you're gonna, like, for example, help me with, because I was a graphic designer, making websites or something else. So there's also something for something, and to do this project. And I really gave everything. And I am a person who believes sharing is caring. So I will, even now with the whole team, I'm always giving away as much as I can, because you couldn't do this project alone. So why would you keep everything for yourself? Right?
I also think that it's because you're just so young and super excited that you were okay with cutting this much stuff, and you were so
Oh, I
like
was,
ruthless.
you don't know me. You don't see me when I'm angry, like, what did you said?
No, because I mean,
No.
like, you want to also be efficient, right? And that means maybe for your future projects, avoid situations when you just have created a lot of content that you have to completely scrap.
For sure, 100%. I am much more mature for creating next project, and I know, I don't know exactly, but I know my mistakes I made, and I know the good things I made. For sure, my biggest advantage is that I am listening. I am a listener, even though I talk really a lot, like calls with me sometimes too long, but I listen to people. I listen to the carries. I care about people. I care about the team. I never ask nobody to work anything, actually, because we were all like a group of friends, and they still calling and working like 14 hours a day, and I'm like, dude, take a break. He's like, no, I have to do this and that. And I say, I understand, but please, it's for your health, to go to the gym, eat something good, like, please take care of yourself. So I never asked nobody from the team to work so hard, but they still did. And that's also inspired me to work that hard. Because when I had a down day, they were picking me up. When they had a down day, I always said, like, I'm here, don't worry, it's gonna be okie dokie, I'll take care of it. Listen, it's easy. Kind of a little bit fake it till you make it, you know. Also, I didn't know what I'm doing, but since I was so confident, they were feeling better. And sometimes that worked. Most of the time it worked.
That was just such a great little motivational speech right now.
It was, you see, you can make a meme or something from it.
Two good things will come out of this, like you becoming the ambassador for the horror games.
Yes,
and
that's
working
number one.
simulators. That's number one. And also this little speech that will just be, you know, on YouTube. It's gonna be like the next one after Martin Luther King's.
Oh my God! No, Schwarzenegger, you know, he always makes these motivational speeches. But really, if anyone wants to listen, I want to say that on Gamescom or something, people are coming to me, students, and saying, oh, I would never do this because I have no idea in graphics. And I'm like, dude, please stop. Like, everyone can do everything. The whole 3D world that we build, the sharing we made ourselves, and not the whole of it, but like 95% of it. And it's made a girl who she didn't finish studies, she didn't know anything. Once she just tried a little bit Blender, and I'm like, oh, I see you can model. Here's the list of models I'm needed. And that's how she kind of grabbed with the team. So it's really inside all of us to get there. We just need to be a little bit more patient, which I think nowadays sometimes it's hard, you know, to with the media, with the information being blocked and like constantly on us, it's hard to cut ourselves from it and think a little bit about what we want to do. Mm-hmm. I know, because I'm also dealing with this every day.
Basically, you are saying that on your team, nobody had any significant experience in making games prior to the shattering. What is it that even brought you together in the first place? Just because you personally knew each other and shared the love for video games, or?
I think love for video games was first. Except of me, there's Arkadiusz Burczyk, and he's with the project as long as me. Like the same moments, I remember the same meeting with the beer. Let's make a game. And I think we've been just drawn by this passion, and maybe I am a very convincing person to just stick it out with me for so long, to do something. And but thankfully, when I'm talking to them right now, they're said like they're not regretting it, right? Because it is a lot of time from the life to do something. They're very happy, and I'm happy for they're happy. Everyone's happy.
A bunch of motivational speeches, obviously.
I know I'm trying to cut it out.
Not right now, but I'm just trying to sum up what went into making this game. So there was that. There was like everybody's passion. And you also said that you were able to pull it off with like no business plan in mind. Is it
No.
something that you regret now in retrospect? And would you be like, for your next project, more cautious about, running a business like a studio than just, going with your hunch and inspiration?
I think I would regret not having any business. Later, of course, I learned, but because then I wouldn't be so scared of it at the end because it's coming out now. It's all this paperwork and all of that, and I'm like, oh, like ask me to set up a scene. Don't ask me to fill the documents. So for sure, that was another thing I learned personally a lot. For the next project, I don't think our team is a team that looks in the direction of making money, even though of course money is important because people are like, oh, we don't do this for money. No, it is important. It is this income that comes to us and allow us to make another game. It has a value, but do we wanna go in a direction of like a business or stay in this group of people who wants just to do something good and nice and they feel it's good and nice, at least they dare to try. I think we're this second type of people, and thank God we're right now in the moment that we can allow ourselves to do that. Like we can still experiment. It's very rare, and I see a lot of friends and game developers who struggle with the reality. We were just really blessed and lucky to still follow it. Like it took us 6 years, not 4 years, let's say, in development. But still a lot of time. My friends was like, when are you going to release it? And I'm like, I don't know. And then it's going to be done. It was so hard for me. And there was so many ups and downs in the game. But I learned, I know I'm saying it so much, but I want to just kind of reach out to you and everyone saying that if I could do it, everyone can do it. Really believe it in yourself and go get your dreams and catch it, and never expect too much from it. Don't go like, oh, I'm gonna do game of the year or something. No. Reach low, like low in a way that be happy what you have, kind of. Like that's also important. Like it doesn't matter if you have these few people telling you it's great and they love it, they got it just the way you made it. So that's something.
But are you already thinking about a next game maybe, or you'll just see how it goes, where life leads you eventually?
Well, I have a feeling that the sharing still needs some care and love, and I'm still looking around. We were thinking about console version, which is another big topic and theme for us. Again, something we need to learn about. So the sharing, for sure, it's not gone. We're here. We're going to take care of it. For the next project, well, I am a person who never gets bored. Like I have so many things I already installed. Like after after release, like so many new programs, and I want to try so many different things. And I think with me, my crazy personality is like too many things at once. I should do one. But I think because I was so trapped with this project for so many years, it feels a relief that you want to taste so many things at once. So for the next project, we don't have any plans for now. I would say there are ideas for sure, a lot, too many, but I have this doubt, and not doubt to call this depth for the sharing. I feel it's not done yet. Something there's needs fixes, polishes, like it needs to be taken care of still.
Well, it's a child, right? And it's
exactly
like fresh, out in the world. So yeah.
My mom said, "Is the child born?" And I'm like, almost, almost. We have a really nice saying that you never finish your art; you just abandon it at some point. And it was very, very cool quote. And that's what believed. Like, are we ready for the release? And I don't know, just release it already. Like, let's get it over it.
Yeah.
But happily, I want to just say that there was a one bug actually, okay, but except of that, nothing huge major issues, which was a huge success for us. Like, at least it wasn't bad at all. So thanks for the QA team.
Okay. So no business plan. Basically, you were learning things as you went, but still you were like, so you knew enough to at least identify marketing opportunities, I think, at different game conventions, and somehow you onboarded Deck 13, which
Yeah.
to me at least was surprising, because if I'm not mistaken, they would typically focus on games that are more skill-based oriented, like more adventure kind of games. So how is it that a group of people like you, with a project like yours, onboard a publisher like Deck 13?
That is actually another good question, I think. We met Deck 13 in 2016 in Warsaw on some conference, and we just pitched them the game. And back then, I think I needed just this confidence from someone that this idea is good. We got enough material. We've been through the sessions. The first iteration was there. And I think just the chemistry clicked. It was me and the whole team back then, and one of the member of the Deck 13. And he just really liked our idea and gave us a chance. So personally, I never thought about it that way. That actually, you're right. They have a different. They like different themes of in their publisher, right? We are very specific, but maybe they're researching. They just thought the sharing is a cool idea. They like the aesthetics and they like talking to us. We were very open back then. I told them immediately, we don't know anything. We don't know what we're doing. Like being
That was
honest.
your pitch.
I was my pitch. Yeah, seriously. I was just like, listen, we're trying. We're students. There was after study, but honestly, we need a little bit help, like technical also, like a little help us how the process of producing the game looks like. And they still did it. They still said okay. So I am very grateful for them to give us a try, and of course for all those years for helping us. So that will be another thing I would recommend to any game developer that's starting to, if they are lucky enough to find a publisher who will help them from the beginning, because there are too many issues and you cannot do all of them on your own, and publisher already knows some of them, been through them, and can kind of direct you on, help you missing some big problems.
Just one last question. You said that not you said, but the website says that the goal that you set for yourselves at Super Sexy Software is nothing short of a revolution in how people think about games. So what does it mean? What kind of revolution are we talking about?
I think I said it in this interview as well, that I see games as this final art expression of art, because it has this interactive way of dealing with it, right? Without you, the user, there wouldn't be, there wouldn't be any experience. Of course, it's everything with all of the arts, but here it's very specific kind of relationship. So I think we're thinking to kind of change the approach of people who think that way, who think that video games are a waste of time, that there's nothing to do with it and cannot bring anything, or they're dumb. We wanted to show that the games have not only this interactive and fun part, but also can have educational. I was, on my example, I was leading towards this expression and immersion part, like showing stories, making it more this scientific new approach of this white horror, let's call it, finally, right? Like that was our thinking, like change the way people think about video games for a better, make them understand that, not be afraid of it. I think that's why also sharing, it's a little bit easy to play. We didn't want people to overdo with so many complexity of crafting. Like, of course, some games, it's fun and they need it, but we wanted to give the people a tool so they can experience, see, and, you know, like, it would be easy for them to use. Like, my mom can play it, you know, like, it's cool, and it's a piece of art from the beginning till the end. So I think that's what that statement kind of refers to.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, the internet and Zoom have had enough of us.
Yes.
It was a pleasure having you, though.
Thank you, Oleg, very much.
Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye.